Binance executive Tigran Gambaryan sues NSA and EFCC. Governor Sani offers free education to rescued Kuriga students. Caution Wike, Sekibo, Secondus, Omehia, others lament as they pledge support for President Tinubu. Well, let's take headlines. Outside Nigeria, South Africa's Jacob Zuma barred from running in South African elections. Burkina Faso's junta sends anti-jihadist emergency measures. Those are headlines. Tonight on Politics HQ, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Nigeria's electoral umpire, has denied monitoring the National Convention of the Labour Party, Nigeria's opposition party. We talked about that last night. Now, we're asking, what does this mean for Julius Abure's re-election as national chairman of the party? Also tonight, a group of aggrieved candidates of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, in the 2023 general elections in Lagos State has dragged Chief Olabode George and other leaders and elders of the party to court. Over what? Over alleged anti-party activities. Why? We'll try to find out tonight on the program. My name is Kofi. Bartels. Politics HQ starts now. You're welcome. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, today has come out to say, oh, we didn't monitor Labour Party's conventional. And it's raising questions about the transparency and oversight of the party's internal processes. The absence of officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission to monitor the Labour Party's national convention yesterday is now raising eyebrows among political observers who view such an oversight by the electoral umpire as essential for ensuring the fairness and credibility of internal party elections. Questions have been raised about the reasons behind INEC's decision not to monitor the convention. We'll try to find that out. But yesterday on Politics HQ, the suspended national treasurer of the party, Oluchi Opara, revealed right here on Politics HQ that she had written to the Independent National Electoral Commission asking them not to monitor the convention, citing non-adherence to the party's or by the party's leadership to the electoral laws guiding the change of venue for such elections. Well, the build-up to the Labour Party's convention and the convention itself has been a matter of serious contention between Julius Abure, the national chairman of Labour Party, on one hand, and the Nigeria Labour Congress, and indeed the Labour Party's National Assembly Caucus on the other hand. The NLC wanted the convention postponed until Abure stepped down. Yesterday, there was no media coverage of the election in the press or even on social media until the results were announced. The reports say journalists were prevented from accessing the venue. Well, a lot has happened between then and now. Tonight, joining us, we have a Comrade Benson Upah. He's the head of information at the Nigeria Labour Congress. He joins us via video link from Abuja. And of course, Monday Mawa, a lawyer. Gentlemen, good to have you on the program tonight. Welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, let's start with Mr. Benson Upah. What is the NLC's position on the convention organized yesterday?
It is an illegality, or let me put it this way, it was and it stands an illegality, an act in nullity, an act that has no basis in law, has no basis in their code of conduct of politics and immorality.
Okay. Why, in your opinion, Benson Upah, did INEC decide not to monitor the Labour Party's convention?
Why I think INEC didn't monitor the convention?
Yeah.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Well, yeah, whatever anybody might say or think of INEC, on the score of obeying court decisions, INEC has been excellent. And there is a subsisting consent judgment that prescribes the following: that there should be an all-inclusive convention, expansive all-inclusive convention. In fact, let me read directly from the consent, from the text of the consent judgment. Amongst the major items are that the political party, that the Labour Party, though not a trade union, is an institutional political party founded, promoted, and registered by the Nigerian Labour Congress on behalf of Nigerian workers. 2, that parties agree to convene an expansive and inclusive national convention of the party as stipulated by the party's constitution. 3, that the defendants are hereby discharged from all claims or further claims or liabilities. 5, that this term of settlement shall be irrevocably binding on the claimants and defendants therein. So all that Abure has tried to do or has done is in violation of the terms of this consent judgment. And of course, INEC, as a law-abiding institution organization, will not want to be identified with this kind of process. It was a charade.
All
so
right.
INEC did the right thing. So in effect, INEC did the right thing by not being part of this process. Of course, it should not be seen dignifying such illegalities and impunities. It should not, and it has not.
Okay, Monday, Mawa, over to you. The spokesperson of media aid to the INEC chairman, this is Rotimi Oyekami, has not, who responded to media inquiries by the news agency of Nigeria, did not really give specific reasons why INEC did not monitor that elections as opposed to what we used to see in elections of party conventions in Nigeria. What do you think is responsible for INEC's absence from that convention? Monday?
Well, I actually expected the INEC person you mentioned earlier to have told the world or informed everybody the reason why they did not turn up for that purported convention. I think I'll use the purported convention as a lawyer in that if you follow the sequence of that planning for that convention, initially, I think the date the venue rather was to be in Lagos. Thereafter, we heard it was moved from Lagos to Edo State. Thereafter, we learned from Edo State to Abia State. Then the last one, we suddenly heard also that it has been moved to Anambra, in Anambra State. Now, don't forget, by I think section 82 of the Electoral Act, which provides that every convention or meeting of the party, when we meet, we're looking at something like convention primary of the party, that INEC must be given not less than 21 days notice to it. Now, the initial date of the purported convention was for 29th of March. Then later it was changed to 27. Then we're not looking at the venue. I will tell you for free that INEC themselves, we are not even sure of the venue in which the said convention was to take place. So where do you expect them to go and monitor it? So to my mind, what I feel was responsible for INEC not going there, I'm not without a prejudice or without contradicting what the earlier man said. I think one of the major reasons that account for why INEC could not even go there was because INEC themselves, they were confused as to which venue they were going to hold the convention. So INEC cannot move to Lagos today because you don't just expect them to they have to go overnight and then stay over. If it's going to be Lagos, INEC, they have to move to Lagos, stay over, and then the next day to observe what is going on or what they are doing. But you move from Lagos to Edo to Abia, you are now saying so even before that day of the before I think the day before yesterday, when they eventually had the Popode convention, nobody was still sure of the venue of it. So there was no way INEC could have been there. So I think that is my little reason. Perhaps I might be wrong until INEC themselves are able to come up, INEC officials rather are able to come up to tell us or tell the world the reason why they did not attend. But that is my own opinion.
Okay, Monday, the party initially stated that convention to hold on 29th of March, but the date was brought forward to 27th of March, and the leadership of the party gave a reason, saying that 29th of March was Good Friday, so it wasn't a favorable day for it to hold its convention because of the importance to Christians around the world. Monday?
Yes. Yes. But that's why I told you, like, they're beyond the date. But the next question is the venue. Mr. Kofi, if somebody informs you that, oh, I'm going to hold a program in Abuja on the 27th, 5 days thereafter, he informed you again, I'm sorry, Kofi, I'm moving that program to Port Harcourt. Then, 3 days to that program, he also wrote a letter to you again, Mr. Kofi, sorry, I'm not moving into Sokoto. Then, 48 hours to the program, another information got you that, sorry, I'm not going to Calabar, I'm going to Calabar. Will you be certain of going to that kind of program? So, beyond the date, the venue is also very, very important and paramount. So, why the change? Convention is one of the most important calendar program of every political party, because they mark the epoch change period where leadership of the party are changed from one to the other. So it's not a child play. It's not for fun. It's a serious business.
Okay.
So the way it was not portrayed to the whole world as if we're just doing this kindergarten program. So Kofi, nobody could have reasonably be expected to have attended. I would have been shocked if INEC had attended that program, to be sincere with you.
Okay. I'll come back to you Monday on that, but I want to go back to Benson. Benson, the Electoral Act does not, and even the guidelines for the conduct of does not in any way deny political parties, the right to change venues as they wish. It only stipulates the mode of informing INEC about the change of venue. And the National Legal Advisor of Labour Party, Kende Edun, stated that the party duly informed INEC about the change in venue. Benson?
Answered your question. I did say that INEC has a record of obeying court decisions. Okay? And we have a subsisting court decisions since 2018. And even in 2022, we have a document here on the 21st, sorry please, we have a document here This term of settlement is made this 27th day of June 2022 between the Nigerian Labour Congress on the one part and Labour Party on the other.
Yeah, but Mr. Upah, is this...
Wait, just a moment.
Okay, all right.
Just a moment.
Yeah, you read it already.
You asked me a question, and you should let me
we don't have all day. Okay, please, I'll give you a 30 seconds to just go through it. Thank you.
No, don't hush me up. If you wanted answers, you should allow me to give you the answers.
We don't have all the time,
with documents.
I'm sure you can understand.
The next time, don't invite me. Okay?
We will invite you. Please go on, but please, we're pleading with you, Mr. Upah.
By INEC.
Yes, we're just pleading with you to abridge it. We're just pleading with you to abridge it.
No.
I'm sure you can understand.
We have a document here that INEC brokered peace in furtherance of the consent judgment. So INEC has been in the know of what has been going on. INEC has been in the know that Abure and his cohorts have been acting in breach of the consent judgment. Okay, And apart from that, everybody knows the rules, that the convention is the last major act. That before you do convention, you do what congresses, you do state congresses. If not, where are your delegates coming from? But then, consistent with the character of Abure, he chose to do the last most important thing first. And you can see even the members of the media were kept out of the show. But I want to tell you, even when electing a pope in the conclave, I mean, the media do have access to the papal ground. In this case, I mean, the media people were not even allowed to allowed in the convention ground.
Okay.
It tells you the intent.
All right.
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Okay, Benson, thank you. Let me allow Monday Mawa.
I mean, the intention. I mean, the intention and the act itself are patently faulty.
Thank you. Monday Mawa, you've listened to him. Would you agree that that will be the major reason why INEC didn't monitor the primary? That by that consent judgment, INEC is aware that maybe Labour Party belongs to NLC and they have the right to dictate or to direct or to organize how things like a convention and others will go, which they've tried to do, and Abuja has resisted them. Monday.
Well, again, like I said earlier, I wouldn't want to act like a spokesperson.
No, I'm asking for your view. You're also a lawyer as well, so yeah.
My view is that I wouldn't. Well, it's possible that was the reason they did not attend. That they have the consent judgment, which, like he rightly mentioned, that they broke up it between INEC, NLC, and the Labour Party. But the point is this: I think another thing we must be looking at is this: the absence of INEC in a convention. Does it really affect the validity or otherwise of the convention? In my view, once INEC is informed of the intention of a party to carry out convention, who have validly given them the time, the required time frame, whether INEC now decide to attend or not, well, it's at their discretion. With the greatest respect, it does not actually confer or derogate from the validity of the activities. That point needs to be made clear.
Are you saying that if INEC monitors or doesn't monitor an election, it does not affect the validity of the party convention?
No, it does not. What is important is the valid notice given to them. Once the Supreme Criteria of Authority, that once INEC has been informed of the pendency of an activities of a party like convention or primary election, once INEC gets that notice and they refused on their own to come, it does not vitiate the process itself. What vitiates the process itself is the failure to give the statutory notice to INEC.
All right.
So the point is this: I'm only trying to guide us now that, the absence of INEC in any convention or primary. Go and check the case of Akpabio. Go and check the case of Lawa Ahmed, former president of the Senate. So the president of INEC is merely an observatory duty.
Okay, but Monday, the point being made by Benson Upah, and I heard him clearly, he took the time to read some excerpt of that court, that consent judgment or agreement, whichever it is, that INEC knows who owns Labour Party, and they've been following the developments, and therefore they won't come to an event organized that did not involve the NLC. That's what he's saying. So who owns the Labour Party? Who owns the party?
A party generally belongs to its members, which comprises both the NLC members and other. Because the point is this: can
the LP organize its convention without the NLC, being in charge, for instance?
I didn't get that.
Can the LP organize its convention or any activity of such nature without the NLC being involved and actually even directing affairs as the owners of the party?
Well, I don't want to look at it from the perspective of an ownership, but I want to look at it from the perspective of stakeholders. Now, by virtue of the consent judgment that Mr. Benson read out earlier on, of course, I don't think I've seen it physically, but I think I've heard about it. The point remains that from that judgment, see that there is no that contrary judgment. The duty of Labour Party in organizing its convention, it must, as a matter of necessity, carry along the NLC, who are equally stakeholders in the project called Labour Party. So, but because I do not want to look at it from the point of view of ownership, but the point is they are stakeholders and they ought to be carried along.
Okay.
Beyond the NLC, I've already deprived the media people from being participants in this whole thing. The Peter Obi, I think, I don't know whether they informed him or not, but it was obviously absent. But that does not mean that his absent vitiated. Peter Obi present or absent does not add anything to any convention. But it is necessary also as a stakeholder that is carried along. Just like the members of the National House of Assembly and State Houses of Assembly ought to also be carried along. Not because they are the owner, but because they are equally stakeholders in in Labour Party. So my position is that in view of that consent judgment, Abure ought, as a matter of necessity, he ought to have carried along the Nigerian Labour
Party. I want to come back to Benson. Thank you, Monday. Benson Upah. So would you agree that by virtue of that consent judgment, NLC stakeholders, merely stakeholders, not the owners of the party?
Well, the matter speaks for itself, res ipso loquitur. My colleague speaking with you knows the truth. We cannot at this point in time begin to change the language of the court. That will be acting in contempt of the court. But let me actually take him to, Section 15, Part 1 of the third schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and Section 2 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. I'm going to look at the third item as per the role of INEC. It states, monitor the organization and operation of the political parties, including their finances, conventions, congresses, and party primaries. Okay? So I do not understand the reason why he wants to downplay the role of INEC in the internal and external governance of political parties. Their finances, even their finances, INEC can poke its nose into the finances of parties. So if INEC has that statutory role, I do not know, I do not understand why he thinks it will be irrelevant if INEC fails to show his face at a convention. With all due respect to him, I would want to hold a contrary view. I would want to hold a view that the presence of INEC is very, very important. It is key, and there is no substitute to that.
Okay.
So,
all right. Benson, thank you. Thank you.
But then, most importantly, I stand by the decision of the court.
Okay. So you've also said that any description to the contrary to what the court has said, that NLC are the owners of the party, you're saying it's a contempt of court. Well, we'll be back after this break. So Monday Market, tell us if he agrees that he is in contempt of a court decision. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Politics HQ right here on News Central Television. I'm Kofi Bartels. Still looking at the aftermath of the Labour Party's controversial national convention held yesterday at Nnewi in Anambra State. We hear, there was no media coverage, so we hear that Julius Abure emerged as re-elected national chairman of the party, along with a plethora of other persons who were announced as newly elected members of the National Working Committee of the party. I guess tonight we have a representative of the Nigeria Labour Congress, and I'm talking about V. national head of information of I almost said INEC, the NLC, Comrade Benson Upah, joining us from Abuja, and of course, we also have Monday Mawa, who joins us via Zoom. He's a legal practitioner. And Monday, do you agree that the views you held may be in contempt of court, describing NLC as mere partners in Labour Party, or stakeholders, rather?
Well, I merely express my opinion with regard to my understanding about what is contained, what he read out. The point must be made. I think Mr. Benson seems to be getting me a bit wrong. You see, he had just read the provision of the Constitution that talks about the duty of INEC as to monitor. Is there a difference between monitoring and also participating? The Supreme Court has given pictures of judgment and in interpreting the roles of INEC. And like I cited some the Supreme Court decision earlier on, case of Akpabio. Now, what happened in Akpabio? I know we don't have time. Akpabio did a primary in which they invited INEC to come and monitor it. INEC said no, they are not going to monitor it because they have earlier monitored another primary. And the party was dissatisfied. They went to court, and the court said, well, INEC, once you have been notified of the intention of the party to conduct primary, your decision to come and not to come is now discretionary. So your not coming cannot now affect the validity of the primary. And so the same thing goes for convention. Please, I want to put it on record. I'm not by any way trying to give credibility to the convention that already took place or held by Abuja and his group. But the point is that there is a need for us to be informed of the law as it is today. Now, the role of INEC has been whittled down or has been interpreted by the Supreme Court to mean to merely observe, not to participate. So whether they now decide to come or not, the Supreme, I'm not talking about Court of Appeal, I'm not talking about the High Court, I'm talking about the apex court in Nigeria. The Supreme Court has, you can quote me anywhere, the Supreme Court has now said their duty is merely observatory. So whether they attend or not, as long what is fundamental by virtue of Section 82 of the Electoral Act is for you to give the notice, the statutory notice to INEC, one that has been complied with. So INEC, whether they come or not, does not confine anything or whatever has been done. That is that. Then back to that of the Labour Party, NLC. Like I said earlier on, you see, Labour Party is not just the membership of Labour Party is not just that of the NLC. There are other persons that are not part of NLC that are members of the Labour Party. So the point I made earlier on was that, which I wish to also restate, is that when you say somebody is a stakeholder, in other words, if today there is a convention going on and you are unable to inform me, Monday Mawa, I don't think there's anything going to happen to that convention. But in view of that judgment, Labour Party has a duty, a legal duty, and a binding duty at that, to carry along the NLC.
Would you say the NLC were carried along by Labour Party, following up on what you said?
You said what?
Would you say the NLC were carried along by Labour Party?
Well, I think from what they have stated, I doubt if they were carried along, because we have had NLC coming up to the public space to say, well, let this planned convention be
Monday, sorry to interrupt you, Monday. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Meeting.
Yeah, because of time. Let me just ask you a quick question. I want you're a lawyer, so you can help us maybe explain this section. Mr. Upah, you also have the Electoral Act with you, I'm sure, because you quoted it. Section 77 of the Electoral Act, provides that a political party, Monday, once registered, has a life of its own, and it is only regulated by the party's constitution. Is this something that maybe may be a work in favor of the Labour Party and the officials who are saying, try to stand on their own and not to be under NLC?
I entirely agree with that interpretation. You see, once a body has been registered under the corporate, under the CAC, it assumes a separate status of its own. It becomes a legal personality with its own life, a separate life from that of its members. But don't forget, the activities of that organization or that corporate entity still needs to be supervised or overseen by the instrumentality of its members. Now, yes, once in the case of PDP and Ozigbo, the Supreme Court said the members of the parties are bound by the content of their constitution. However, there is now a judgment of the court, of which Mr. Bessie read out earlier on. Now, until that judgment is set aside, the content of that judgment must be given, must be complied with to the letter.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
The judgment does not in itself derogate from the Labour Party Constitution, but rather it was trying to see how they can have an
thank you, Monday. Thank you, Monday. Mr. Upah, what's your reaction to what Monday has just said, sir?
Well, he has spoken eloquently well. He's entitled to his views, just as I'm entitled to mine. He did say something about an organization having a life of its own. That is quite true, but I also want to remind him of the doctrine of lifting the veil or parting the veil. But of course, we know the circumstances that do necessitate the operation of parting the veil and all of that. But then, we should not even reduce this matter to the level of splitting the hair. The matter clearly speaks for itself. Has Abure acted in contempt of the consent, as he acted in contempt of the court decision of the court of the consent judgment? The answer is a clear yes. Then to stretch it further, who were the stakeholders at the so-called convention? The caucus of the party were not there, House of Reps, Nigeria Labour Congress was not there, other stakeholders were not there. So who and who were at that convention? As I stated earlier on,
but Monday Bawa says their presence or not does not vitiate the convention, Benson.
No, I mean that the presence of stakeholders, that the presence or absence of stakeholders does not vitiate a convention.
Yes.
How can you hold a convention without people? Okay. A convention is about people. That is why it's called a convention. Convention. Okay. How can you just go? You lock yourself up in a booth and say this is it, this is that. Do you call that a convention?
All right.
A convention has to meet with all the statutory requirements. And in any case, I did tell you from the beginning, I said that there must be delegates to a convention, and that you have to hold congresses, world congresses, blah, 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 blah. How do you pick your delegates? Or do you just say, okay, you are the one who's going to be a delegate?
All right. Benson, we have to go.
I think
Monday, I don't know if you've changed your mind that the presence or absence of the likes of will be and other stakeholders does not affect.
I didn't change my mind. The point I was making is, I'm talking about Peter Obi.
Yeah.
That if he's informed and he refuses to come, it does not vitiate the Congress.
I'm aware that even NLC was informed as well. They were aware. I'm sure Mr. Upah would agree that they were aware, of the convention. So if they were aware and they didn't go,
was not informed.
Does it affect the convention
NLC
Monday?
Was not informed. And NLC was not informed.
Well, the party says they informed you, Mr. Upah. They said they informed you.
They did not inform NLC. I want to tell you that Abure was with the president of NLC, like today, and the next day, and the next thing we read in the papers that that was going to be a
at least you heard about it in the papers.
No,
in the papers.
That is not the notice we are talking about.
That's where we have to go.
Look, my friend. Look. I tell you something. There should be proper communication. Okay? Don't go that way.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Benson Upah, Monday,
yes.
Mawa, thank you, gentlemen, for your time. We appreciate you joining us tonight. All right, we'll look at developments in Lagos PDP when we come back. Stay with us.